All right, my people, I am back. I just came from the gym. It's literally about to be 2 a.m. But I saw this video that I wanted to respond so badly that I couldn't wait until tomorrow. This is a Amber Heard supporter that claims to be neutral. I watched about half the video. Um, I watched about half the video. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt again. I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing. You guys get to hear it. I'm gonna respond to certain things that I thought was completely ridiculous and completely shows her bias and completely shows the problem with the way she's thinking. Right? So let's begin.
Okay, let's do this. I've been
Too
trying
loud.
to unpack why this Depp v. Heard lawsuit and more so the hysterical public response to it has been so upsetting to me. Usually I'm really good at emotionally removing myself from legal situations. It's literally my job, but with this one I get upset and I get fucking pissed about random things that I see online about it because it's everywhere, even if you're trying to
By the way, guys, let's do our best to stay neutral until she kind of goes off the rails.
avoid it. And I realize that it's probably because I'm feeling incredibly triggered and re-traumatized as someone who's experienced relationship abuse in the past. But I'm not feeling triggered on behalf of Johnny Depp, though I have repeatedly and publicly acknowledged that I am not taking any sides. Men can and are absolutely victims of relationship abuse. And based on the little bit of testimony I've been exposed to in this court case, it sounds like Heard did allegedly do some pretty malicious shit during the course of their relationship. I'm not denying that. Okay. But I am feeling
Stay
some
neutral,
kind of
guys.
way about the way that Heard is being inhumanely attacked every day on a global scale. So let me break down why this is upsetting for me and what it means going forward for victims of relationship abuse and related defamation lawsuits. When an abuse accusation is brought up, people generally expect the abused person to be the perfect victim. What is a perfect victim? Someone who didn't do anything wrong on their side ever. We have this like romanticized view of the battered woman whose trauma response, if we think of the like fight, flight, or freeze framework, her trauma response was freeze. She was abused, but she did nothing wrong herself. She didn't fight back. She was a devoted partner, and he was a monster. She's the victim. He's the abuser. It's clean. It's black and white. It's a dichotomy that allows our little reptilian brains to tie up a conflict with a nice little bow, pick sides, and then consider ourselves righteous for having picked the correct side. Unfortunately,
I would agree with her. I would agree with her. Nothing is as black and white as we would like it to be, and nothing is as simple as we would like it to be. Even from my own experience of, I want to say my own experience. I guess I'll open up a little bit on my childhood. My mother was, abused physically and emotionally by my father. And as I have grown older and therapy, and of course, look, he should have never done the things that he did, but I wouldn't sit here and say that my mom was. She could have done things differently. Yes, she could have done things differently. She didn't deserve anything that was done to her. But I would agree with her 100% that, not everything is black and white, although he was 100% wrong with everything that he did.
If you've ever been the survivor of relationship abuse or worked with survivors, both of which I have done, you know that that's simply not how human relationships work. It's messy, it's complicated. Often both sides are traumatized for whatever reason and in need of help and empathy and emotional support. And sometimes when you're being abused, you fight back in ways that aren't okay. And I think this has been so triggering for me because I was that woman. I probably shouldn't get this vulnerable on Maine, but here we are. My experience
Agreed on that.
was never physical, which frankly adds to the complication. But emotional abuse and sexual manipulation often accompany physical abuse, making every situation of relationship abuse a deeply complicated and personal ordeal. I personally spent a year and a half with a man who would mock me when I got emotional, laugh in my face when I cried, give me the silent treatment when I did or said something that he didn't like, try to control how I spent my own money. And he called me boring or a prude or told me I had a sex problem anytime I denied him sex, which was most of the time because he was horrible to me and my body shut down long before my brain knew what was going on. And we were having one of our many arguments and I truly have no recollection of what it was about, but I was trying to explain to him why I was frustrated, and he laughed at me and wasn't hearing me, so I shoved him. That was it. I shoved him. He wasn't hurt. It didn't escalate beyond that. I should not have done that. No one should do that to the person that they love, but I was feeling unheard, invisible, and desperate in my relationship, and he never let me live it down. He would say things like, I can't believe you did that to me. I never thought I would be the victim of relationship abuse. Remember when you shoved me? Good thing I didn't get hurt. All the while continuing to manipulate and belittle me on a daily basis. And I believed him. I was the bad person. I was the one with all the problems. I was the crazy one. I was unhinged. And this happened to me a full decade ago, and I have spent the better part of the last decade in therapy working through that relationship. I'm now in a relationship with the most loving, caring man who makes me feel safe and heard and cared for on a level like I truly never thought possible or even that I deserved. And yet I still struggle with this. And the reason I tell you this is not to make you sympathetic to me or even to Amber Heard, but it's to illustrate how abuse works sometimes. How even if both sides act abusive towards each other, there's often a power imbalance in a relationship that allows one person to control the abuse over the other. Nothing about relationship abuse is black and white. And as outsiders, we have no idea and will never know the extent of someone else's relationship.
And that's another point that I agree with her on her with her 100%. We don't know everything about what truly happened between Johnny and Amber. We will never know. We just know that, we just know their perspectives. But I think we all know there's three sides to every story.
Which is why I think it's so upsetting to me to see people taking pretty universally Johnny Depp's side in this case, despite the fact that a court of law in England found her to be credible and found that there was substantial evidence to believe that Depp had abused her, despite.
Right. So this is where we start disagreeing. One, the trial was not against Amber. It was against the UK Sun. There's plenty of problems with the judge. There was picked. You could definitely find biases on him. For example, he's connected to the UK Sun. Secondly, the judge's job was to essentially the Sun's job was essentially to prove to the judge that relying on Amber Heard's experience was enough to make the article that they wrote. They didn't have to prove that Johnny abused her. Secondly, the evidence that was in the UK Sun, one, it was a bunch of hearsay texts from Amber Heard, from Johnny's assistant, apparently. Two, there were medical records, but those medical records was Amber Heard telling her assistant what happened. Those are all hearsay. And secondly, according to the rule of evidence, they wouldn't work. So I will, the evidence that was presented in the UK was spotty at best.
The fact that recordings and text messages, evidence being used in court, show him verbally abusing her or saying horrific things to his friends about her. He's openly admitted to painting threatening messages on their walls in his own blood. Court testimony showed that he texted his friend and said he wanted to kill her and fuck her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she's dead. And y'all are defending him? Depp and Heard.
He did do all of that, and we would definitely won't. I don't think I will defend that act, but I'm just gonna use your argument. Your argument is that we don't know. Let me take a step back, right? Because I just want to do this correct, and I don't want to misspeak. That is indefensible. He should have never said those things. But let's not forget that Amber Heard didn't give in her phone. She refused to give in her phone to the last minute, I believe. So let's not act like she probably said some disgusting things about Johnny. And there's plenty of audio where she said disgusting things about Johnny, where other people hurt her. So you cannot forget that side of your argument, that you're basically saying that they're both somewhat guilty from what I'm getting. But that's not justifying Johnny. He probably should have never said that. But at the same time, look, like you said, relationships are complicated. And let's not act like we all have said horrible things to our significant others that we all regret. I wouldn't defend him, but I understand that when you're angry, you say things you don't mean.
2009 when Depp was 45 and Heard was 23. She'd been acting for about 5 years, and he was 25 years into his career, and one of the most acclaimed actors in the.
Okay, I don't need to hear one more thing.
2009 when Depp was 45 and Heard was 23. She'd been acting for about 5 years, and he was 25 years into his career, and one of the most acclaimed actors in the world, as well as being exceptionally wealthy. Again, I am not taking sides here. I'm just trying to.
I know you're not taking sides so far, but one of the things that you're referring to is power dynamics. I have a real problem with power dynamics, especially when it comes to men and women, because the reality is in every relationship, there's an imbalance of power. Two, one of the things that I hate the most is that for some weird reason, we like to take away the agency of a woman. As soon as a woman is 18, even if she does things that are questionable, for some reason we want to take her agency away. We want to protect her more than she should. Amber Heard is 23 years old. She's not a naive woman that doesn't know right from wrong. Can we stop acting like she didn't know what she was getting herself into? She saw Johnny Depp, a powerful man according to her, that could probably open doors for her in her career. Can we stop acting like she was just this little innocent flower that Johnny Depp was trying to? What are you trying to say, that he was trying to groom her? No, get out of here with that. The arguments of power dynamics is just an argument to make one side seem as an innocent little flower that couldn't do anything wrong. Here comes the big evil man with his power and coerce her into doing things that she didn't otherwise would have never done.
Out the bias I'm seeing all around me by pointing out the very real fact that we don't know who had the upper hand in terms of the power dynamics of the relationship, but it's not like Heard came in with an advantage. And the fact is that
Sure.
based on what's coming out in court, as well as the court in the UK, which again found that Johnny Depp.
Look, I also say this: there's power in being a beautiful woman. Can we not act like that's not a thing? There's great power being a beautiful woman. There's studies done where people believe well-dressed, beautiful people. So,
likely abused Amber Heard, both sides did awful things. And yet the court of public opinion has decided Johnny Depp is the victim here, and anyone who isn't 100% Team Johnny Depp is taking down the entire Me Too movement by denying that men can be victims of abuse and allowing Heard to get away with making false accusations and hurting real abuse victims everywhere. It's buffoonery for me. It's the complete lack of nuance in the public's understanding of, I don't know, human nature.
And there's another disagreement we have: lack of nuances. This video that she'd made was done 12 days ago. So let's keep in mind that she probably didn't see her cross examination, and she probably didn't see Amber testifying to her story. But I watched all of this, and I'm viewing this with hindsight being 2020, with all the evidence presented to me, because I did watch the trial from beginning to end, from Monday to Thursday. When we are having a conversation where we have a legitimately mountain of evidence, a legit mountain of evidence pointing out to Amber Heard being the main abuser, the person that and that starts the fights, right? We have a mountain of evidence showing a specific direction. We do not have to act like there's nuance in this conversation, right? And I'm going to give you a little bit of an extreme example, so hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from, right? I'm not saying that Amber Heard is this, but I just understand the main point. I do not have to argue. I do not have to look at World War II, and try to understand Hitler or the Nazis. I do not have to sit down and say, well, if we look at it from their perspective, they had some justifications for what they did. No. If we look at the evidence, they did horrible things, and we do not have to argue their side. Same thing with, if I were to use the KKK. We cannot sit here and say, well, they have an argument to why they are the way they are. No, we don't have to make an argument for the opposite side. We don't, especially when there's a mountain of evidence showing her being a manipulative person, a person that abuses people, a person that uses people, a person that attacks first, a person that antagonized him, cut his finger, did a bunch, made this plan to leak a video to TMC, go to the courthouse with her publicist, and made sure that she was taking pictures of her alleged abuse. When there's a mountain of evidence to a specific side, we do not have to sit here and argue both sides. We don't.
Sure, how relationships work, it's truly awe-inspiring. And this is a pattern we've seen before, especially in fandoms like Johnny Depp fandom or anti-fandoms, as some people have been calling it, where people just love to hate a certain celebrity and they use another person that celebrity apparently wronged as a validation of their unsubstantiated hatred for this person that they've never met. A recent article in The Atlantic pointed out this pattern in fandoms where fan communities would become obsessed with theories that the male objects of their fandom were the victims of less famous female romantic interests. Benedict Cumberbatch fans thought his wife was part of an international crime ring and that she had faked all her pregnancies. One Direction fans said that Louis was gay and the entertainment industry had forcibly closeted him, and that his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child was central to the conspiracy. And these fandoms would hyperfixate on every detail, proving their claims by examining hundreds of photos and videos, thinking that celebrities were offering tiny secret little Easter eggs and hints in every press interview, every photo, every wave of the hand. And these fans subject these women to body shaming, slut shaming, and absolutely unhinged criminal accusations.
If I were to grant you that, I hope you understand that this is completely different. I mean, those are, you can argue, crazy fans. They are basically just speculating or making assumptions of things, versus we have actual evidence to Amber Heard basically leaking a video to TMC that she didn't know how to do it, but I don't know where she. Oh, if during Cross, she said if I would have actually leaked it, I would have done it in a bigger way, right? She got caught in a lie multiple times. I mean, this is completely different. And again, that was 12 days ago she made this video, so she probably didn't see a couple of the evidence that I'm talking about. Hopefully she did.
The women are seen as glamorous, seductive, malicious, conniving, but also stupid and disgusting. And all the while, these people claim to be feminists, saying that it's the woman who's setting women's rights back and making everyone look bad.
Sorry, but in this case, Amber did do a massive blow to women everywhere.
My friends, this is the patriarchy at work. Society is quicker to say a woman is a liar and a man is the victim than they are to believe women as a.
And this is where I think your bias starts to come in, and your claim to be neutral starts going out the window. You start bringing up the patriarchy. I'm talking about this case. This case that just happened. Amber Heard made an op-ed. A bunch of lies were said. And she completely destroyed a quote-unquote powerful man. For 7 years, this man was ostracized out of society, his work. Anything that had to do with Johnny Depp was completely burned to the ground just because of a woman's word. And you're telling me that's the patriarchy at work? There's something called misandry, the hatred of men. And sometimes women just forget that that could apply to them.
And while saying she's the liar who's hurting women and victims everywhere, they also lob every weapon the patriarchy has ever used to keep women down at her. Heard's being called a whore, a gold digger.
Let me go back a little bit.
While saying she's the liar who's hurting women and victims.
She is the liar. In this case, what we're talking about, Amber Heard is the liar. She's the one that used women's rights, women suffering just like yourself, my mother's, and many others. She used it as a weapon to destroy a man's reputation.
Everywhere. They also lob every weapon the patriarchy has ever used to keep women down at her. Heard's being called a whore, a gold digger, a crazy bitch, manipulative, a monster, a Karen, bipolar. And don't even.
I'm guessing this is 12 days, so I'm pretty sure you saw Dr. Kerry's analysis. I'm pretty sure you saw Amber Heard's expert witness psychologist that came in. I forgot her name. If you didn't see any bias in that testimony, then I already know where you're landing.
Can be started about the history of using mental illness to control women.
Amber Heard brought mental illness into this trial. And Dr. Curry so far is completely right in everything that she said. But you're going to ignore that. At this point, you're ignoring the evidence that is in front of your face because you want to blame the patriarchy, even though Amber Heard had all the power in this situation. She completely nuked Johnny Depp's career for 7 years.
Memes claiming to show her doing cocaine while testifying on the stand. TikTok saying Depp should have killed her. And if this is what's being posted publicly on social media, I cannot imagine the level of hatred and death threats she's receiving personally.
I'm guessing you're not imagining all the hate that Johnny Depp received for all those 7 years until the truth came out. You're not going to factor that in, but you claim to be neutral.
This is why people don't report abuse. Intentionally false accusations of relationship violence are exceedingly rare. Because why in the hell would you open up this level of scrutiny against yourself?
You saw the evidence. Again, this video was made 12 days later. So she probably didn't see the rest of the evidence. But if at this point, you're not questioning Amber, if at this point, some of the witnesses, like the TMC guy that came forward, Dr. Curry's testimony, the fact that nobody came for in her defense, the fact that she basically lied about donating money to the ACLU and the Children's Hospital and basically banked it all for herself. If your eyes are not open at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
Your life, your choices, and how you responded to or didn't respond to the abuse as it was.
And because of people like you, is that abuse victims do not come out. And I'm going to use abuse victims either for men and women. A man was silenced for 7 years, unable to speak on anything. And here you are. The trial is not even done for you. That's 12 days ago. And you didn't bother to finish the whole thing before coming on here, making a video, and basically explaining to everybody how Johnny Depp is not a. You're basically trying to say that Johnny Depp is not a victim of abuse. That he's hurting women more than Amber Heard somehow.
Happening. Because if you're not a perfect victim, especially if you're a woman, because let's be honest.
Why are you turning this into a woman thing? You were perfectly fine the first 4 minutes of this video, but now it's a gender thing. Now it's if you're a woman, how about if you're a man? This case is about Johnny Depp, the man. In this case, Johnny Depp is the victim. Amber Heard is the abuser. Johnny Depp is not expected to be a perfect victim, according to you. He's not supposed to be perfect. Amber Heard made tons of videos, took pictures with him when he was sleeping, took pictures of cocaine, bottles, all types of things. And all she has is edited pictures.
The gender roles were reversed in this case. Heard may be canceled, but the level of hatred would not be this intense. And the
bullshit. 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 This is straight up bullshit what she's saying now. Do we need to go back to all the Me Too allegations that happened? Some of them false, some of them true, the level that they got to. Men were canceled left and right from a simple accusation. Ever heard of a man named Assis? I'm hoping I'm naming him, but his name is Assis. He's a comedian. He's Indian. Let me double check that I'm saying his name right. Right. I'm gonna stop the video. Comedian Assis. Okay. Assis Ansari. I'm gonna destroy his name. Assis Ansari. Let me just share my screen so while you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Here, this man. This man had a Me Too allegation that was the most vanilla bullshit I have ever seen in my life. Essentially, what ended up happening is that a woman went with him on a date. She didn't have a perfect date. All right. He wasn't rude. He didn't force anything on her. It was just, it didn't work. It happens. When you date people, sometimes the vibe isn't there. And they canceled this man. This man is nowhere to be seen. But you're here, you are going to make a video and say that if it was the other way around, that Johnny wouldn't have been getting the amount of hate that Amber is getting. I'm sorry. Pick one fucking video Pick one fucking audio. That audio where Amber Heard is saying, "Tell the world, Johnny." Imagine if a man was saying that bullshit. Imagine if it was Johnny Depp caught on camera saying that bullshit. Are you fucking serious?
Male version of Heard in this hypothetical scenario would probably go on to win an Oscar next year. So if you're not the perfect victim because you did something wrong, you fought back, you're an imperfect person, then the world will lob every available insult at you to get you to shut up. Because as a social group, humans are fucking idiots, incapable of detecting nuance or understanding.
I think you are incapable of nuance yourself because you somehow made this into a woman thing. We're talking about Johnny Depp. You saw the evidence. That video, that audio, tell the world, Johnny. Tell the world. Flip that. Put a video of Amber Heard admitting to hitting Johnny, punching him in the face. You're such a baby. Flip that shit. And you're gonna fucking make a video talking about, well, if it was the other way around. Are you fucking serious? Flip that fucking video. It's over for Johnny. Flip that video. And you...
that there's a lot that can be known or found out by doing independent true crime internet sleuthing and thinking you're fucking Sherlock Holmes. And here's what this means for victims of abuse. Fewer victims will come forward, especially if they haven't been perfect during the course of their relationship with the abuser. Abusers will feel emboldened to launch defamation lawsuits against the victim because high-profile cases...
No. Bullshit on that as well. If a woman has actual evidence, which my mother was abused by my father, she had one damn picture that if I showed it to you, that one picture has more value than the whole stack of evidence, mountain of evidence that Amber had. All of it combined. This means that either for men or women, it doesn't matter your damn gender. If you are being abused, you should come out because the world will believe you if you're telling the truth like Johnny was. This means that if you're a sack of shit of a man or a sack of shit of a woman who are making defamation lies and defaming somebody, either a man or a woman, you should be prepared to get clicked back, hit back. You're the problem. You are not unbiased. You are biased. That's why you blocked no comments in your video. There's no comments. You wouldn't allow it because you know that people will smell bullshit.
And the related media frenzy paint the picture that false accusations are common and have to be rooted out at all costs. Any abuser with the means to do so can use the threat of a defamation lawsuit to further control their victims. And they can...
Nope. Just one fucking picture. That's all she needed. And all she gave you was edited.
Can go through with the defamation lawsuit, which then makes their relationship drag on for years, even after they separate, and can ruin the victim's reputation and cost the victim tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. Even for abusers who don't have the means to bring a...
Okay, apparently you said that you were a lawyer. You know damn well how difficult it is to win defamation lawsuits. You know how big it is. You know how difficult it is to win a defamation lawsuit. A woman doesn't have to be perfect. But before we attack someone, either man or woman, you need to have evidence. Because Johnny Depp, for 7 years, his First Amendment right was completely taken away because of people like you.
Case. Many people are just terrified at the thought of any legal action and may not understand that the person making the threat doesn't actually have the means to make good on that threat. Especially if the victim is an immigrant or someone who has a heightened fear of getting involved in the U.S. legal system. Abusers can also capitalize on the fact that relationship abuse is murky. Victims are imperfect, and no one besides the couple themselves can truly know what happened behind closed doors or the nature of the relationship and the power dynamics that played a part in the abuse. Proving emotional abuse and coercion in court can be extremely difficult. There's rarely a smoking gun, and the abuse can be subtle, pervasive, and long-term in a way that can't be communicated in court. So the victim can come forward about being abused, and the abuser can sue them for defamation, and if the victim can't come forward with some smoking gun evidence...
What are you talking about? This is our whole justice system. You're a lawyer. This is the type of nonsense you're talking about. If I said that if I defamed you in any way, I will need proof. This is why we have a justice system. Of course, you need freaking proof. You're going to ruin a man's career for the rest of his life. For 7 years, this man was blacklisted. So you do not need evidence?
Photos of physical injuries, medical reports, etc. They could be subject to huge damages that they then have to pay their own abuser.
If you cannot prove it, at this point, I mean, anyone can become a lawyer. Elaine is a lawyer. You were a lawyer. I mean, the bar is extremely low at this point.
And abusers can also capitalize on the fact that society fucking hates women and rebels in any opportunity.
Society hates. Good Lord.
To tear them down using every weapon in the patriarchy playbook. And you see this being used time and again by famous men after they've been credibly accused by sometimes multiple women. Harvey Weinstein said his accusers were liars motivated by fame and money.
I don't know the case, but I'm hoping there was proof. And that's why Harvey Weinstein was completely taken down. But you're going to blame the patriarchy.
Bill Cosby did the same. Hell, one of Harvey Weinstein's lawyers was Lisa Bloom, a woman who's made a name for herself as a victim's advocate, who allegedly told Weinstein how to discredit his victims, because even she knows it's an effective tactic. Woody Allen said his daughter's molestation allegations were a bid by his vengeful ex to destroy his career. Brett Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice, while Christine Blasey Ford gets death threats.
Here we go. This is a gender thing for her. She claimed neutrality, but this is all a gender thing. This is the problem. This type of female is the worst of enemies for both men and women. People like her, they are unable to be objective and look at the facts and are ready to destroy men for the sake of it. This is misandry, the hatred of men.
Depp does the same, saying that Heard's false accusations left his reputation in tatters, even though the public reaction to this case is clear.
This case was brought recently. No one has to be a fucking lawyer to look at that Johnny Depp wasn't working in any movies apart from the ones from his own studio. He was booted out of Fantastic Beast. He was booted out of Pirates of the Caribbean, a franchise that is basically his.
Evidence to the contrary, and he'd been doing the work of ruining his own career long before Heard wrote that op-ed. He was known for getting drunk on set.
For over 2 decades, this man was being laid on sets. It's like, stop with this BS narrative that you think that an executive is going to throw away $800 million down the drain because a star actor is late.
Having a temper, he was accused of punching a crew member on set. Plus, he's been in a string of box office flops.
$800 million is a box office flops. Amber Heard was not even an actress before him. If it wasn't for Johnny, Amber Heard wouldn't have Aquaman. She wouldn't have it. She's not a talented actress. Amber Heard owes everything to basically that man. That man. And that probably pisses her off.
Despite all this, the entire world is rallying.
You're talking about Amber Heard, the one that punched her ex in an airport where she got arrested. Amber Heard says, we're going to play dirty. Amber Heard, who apparently got into a car accident in Texas. Her files are covered, but somebody died.
It truly defies all logic. He is being given empathy and forgiveness for his transgressions.
As he should.
As though the fact that she also did things wrong in the relationship means she's lying about the things he did. Or even worse, that she deserved what happened to her. It's victim blaming at its finest. And those of us who have survived relationship abuse around the world are watching. We're watching the way the public is reacting, and we're taking note of what could happen to us.
Take note. But people like you should be ostracized from society. People like you are the problem. People like you are unable to see the evidence and are ready to blame men for everything that happened to him. If I don't know your man. Apparently, you have a boyfriend or husband. Man, run, because this woman, as soon as something happens, she will throw you under the damn bus.
Us, perhaps on a much smaller scale, if we come forward about being abused. I feel like that person from the early 2000s who posted that video being like, leave Britney alone. Leave Amber alone. This is nuance. We don't really know what happened.
No. She destroyed a man's career, manipulated people left and right, lied under oath. She's an abuser. And Amber Heard should be out of here. She shouldn't be in any movies. She should be a fucking waitress at this point.
And even if she's in the wrong, we aren't morally superior people by then lobbing horrific insults.
Even if she's if she, look at this BS. Even if Amber Heard is in the wrong, we should be okay with it. But you wouldn't say the same thing if it was Johnny. If it was Johnny Depp, you wouldn't be singing the same song.
Threats at her or taking sides with a man who has been found by a court of law to have been abusive. And
the evidence that was found to be abusive there was no concrete evidence that he was found to be abusive. And I bet you didn't even pay attention to the UK trial, so you wouldn't know. You just saw Amber Heard won the UK trial. No, she didn't. The Sun won the UK trial. And even that whole situation was iffy. But in this trial, we know the truth. And the people have spoken. And people like you don't like it.
We all feel a little bit embarrassed and ashamed of the way we treated Britney Spears 15 years ago. And it's pretty horrific to look back on pop culture and like SNL skits during that time. While she was having a very public mental breakdown and experiencing trauma we had no idea she was experiencing. What if instead of doing this to Amber and then 10 years from now realizing it was a pretty horrible way to treat another human being, what if we just left her the fuck alone?
You wouldn't say the same thing about Johnny, though. If it was Johnny, you will say to the wolves. So no, Amber Heard did a horrible act, and she played your ass.
What, treating this extremely complex defamation trial like a fucking circus for our own entertainment? I've turned off the comments for this video because
of course
I'm
you
not
did.
taking feedback at this time, and I know there are some of you who I didn't convince to not be horrible people.
I don't think it's about you just don't want criticism on your stupid ass take.
Well, then I'm not interested in hearing from you. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna upload this video as soon as possible. I made my piece in this video. To me, this type of woman is the problem with everything that happens. She clearly has a bias towards men. To me, it's close to Misandry, the hatred of men. She claimed to be unbiased, but as soon as she could turn the tables and it be a gender thing versus man versus woman thing, she just jumped right in it. This video was done 12 days later. I'm hoping she paid attention, but I bet this is the type of woman that after the trial was blaming the patriarchy. And I bet she was in the comment section of Amber Heard saying, we have you, queen. You did nothing wrong. You probably shitted in his bed, but it was justified because he was a man. You probably tipped off TMC and did this whole little plan, and you're justified. Because if it was the other way around, Johnny Depp will have gotten away with it. Intelligent people know the difference. That was not true. But we can see that lawyers, just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you have much of a brain, clearly. All right, guys. Peace.